Hey y'all, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad. So we are back from the San Diego Battle Harden and PQ Plus. We both went together, and we are here to kind of share our deck lists and results and kind of just talk about the whole experience. So I wanted to start off with Tegan's Kano list. So we're gonna kind of briefly go into that and then go over kind of the matchup results, and then we'll go into kind of like my Zen deck as well. So Tegan, would you like to kind of start us off with your like main board? Anything spicy here? Anything to note?
Um, well, it's pretty much standard. There's like the three flex slots. At this point, I've kind of decided that two red Aether Quickenings and one Cindering Foresight is where I like to be. Um, Cindering has been less and less good, it feels like, as the Misfill meta has gone on. Just, I don't know what it is. But red Aether Quickening is great. It's uh, a lot of arcane damage and it's hard to block. Other than that, main board is pretty standard stuff. Yeah, you want to look at the sideboard?
Sure. So sideboard, we have another quickening, nourishing emptiness, oasis, sink below. So tell me kind of like who you're kind of targeting, I guess, with this sideboard.
So it's mostly to make Enigma and the stack matchups like doable. Um, the stack matchups are like you run Oasis and Sync Blows. If you're paired into new, you run the two snags. Um, you can probably get away without the stack package at this point, just going Kindle aggro and everything. But it for me, it's a comfort thing. I'm pretty good at doing it. Um, Things that make Enigma easier are a full play set of Aether Quickenings to clear ward. Um,
Yep.
Two Scours, because sometimes Enigmas play Shimmers and a bunch of stuff like that. Other times they don't, and you have no idea what they're going to be doing until you sit down. If Scour's not relevant in terms of clearing auras in that matchup, then it's a blue 3 block, right?
Mhm.
Then you got Nourishing, which I was running into Enigma and also the Mirror, like paired into the Mirror, and then one of Aether Eyes, which is also for Enigma. It hasn't come up. I haven't tested this card. I'm bad at testing. But the idea of Aether Eyes in this is if Enigma does like blue card, then Transcend, or like Transcend, Sacred Art, you can hit the zero cost Transcend and cut her off of resources. Um, that's a theory. I
Mhm.
haven't gotten to make it work.
Nice.
But pretty standard Kino stuff.
And then the Aether Quickenings, why these, I guess, over like the kind of two for fives like Voltic or what's the other one? Swell Tidings, like that kind of thing.
So it fits the flare cost curve a little bit better.
Hmm.
If you have flare in hand and you hit red quickening off the top, then with one singular other blue, you can pump Crucible, send flare for 4, send Aether Quickening for however much, and then if Aether Quickening is taken fully and does more than 4, it has Go Again, um, which is relevant because you could threaten a Blazing from Arsenal,
Right.
right? Which ends up being just really good damage. With like Red Voltic or Swell Tidings, they do more damage, but them costing 2 means you just don't get that play line. Red Aether Quickening also has a cool effect with Lesson Lava where you do Lesson for 4, put it on top of the deck, Kano, Aether Quickening for 4, like 3 card 8, but it's arcane damage, so it's harder to block. Um, Red Aether Quickening, Red Scalding Rain are just good numbers. They're some of the best numbers Kano has, before Rosetta comes out. But
Right.
I like the card. You don't run 3 main board, just because it's a little bit much, but you do run an extra in the inventory just for the Enigma matchup. You board them in, clears work.
So this is like, kind of like the normal 60 you run into most things that aren't Enigma, New, and the Mirror, I guess.
Yeah, like Enigma stack matchups, those get a little different, but
You pretty much run the same 60 for everyone.
Yeah, at the end of each game, you return your deck, your 60 card deck, to look like that, because you're probably going to play whoever you're going to play next is probably going to be one of those matchups.
Cool. Well, anything else before we kind of move on to your results?
Yeah, I guess like I'm going to be a little sad that this version of the deck's going to change significantly post Rosetta. As of this recording, we've already got a bunch of cool spoilers. There's like some nostalgia I have for playing this version of the deck. I'll be a little sad when it's like not relevant anymore. So I'm glad I got the ticket to one more big tournament.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead and talk about your results. So, up here, do you kind of want to walk me through your first day Battle Hardened?
Yeah. So I round one got paired into Evan Bridges from the AG Pro team on Zen. He was on AB3, if I remember correctly, with Mask of the Pouncing Legs. And so when I sat down and saw that, I was immediately excited because in just testing, I found that that's much easier for Kano to play against than the AB2 Spellvoid 2 thing. So I was able to, I think on like turn 2 or his turn 2, just go off, deal a ton of damage, get through. It was a very short game. But yeah, like off to a good start. If you win round 1 as Kano, you're doing a lot better. Round 2 was Azalea, who was playing AB2 and no spell void or anything, but had just a series of like seek and destroy effects that she was chaining. And at one point, I had a hand of 2 wildfires and I had to block, which was really rough. But it happens. I managed to get him down super low and like to the point where he was at 9 health, and then make a very disciplined block with 3 cards and hope he doesn't have Rain Razor's play to Arsenal a Kindle. And then I drew into a hand of 3 blues, one of which was I and a Kindle, and was able to close out the game. Round 3 was against Naive Mobasir on Zen. He was on AB2 Spellvoid 2. Got him down to like 17, just doing, sending big arcane. And on the combo turn, hit I.
Yeah.
Died.
That's why you have
that's why I have I there.
Yeah.
First time I hit I in 3 months.
Makes sense.
Round 4, Riptide, Talon Stradley, very nice person. Terrible matchup for him. Round 5 was Enigma, another AG Pro Team member. Really cool game. I feel like I played it really well. Just a lot of like tempoing and clearing ward. Managed to catch him shields down and like go in for the kill.
Nice.
Round 6, this is embarrassing. So it was another AG Pro Team member, so it wasn't like a bad player by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Kano should win this. This is me not having played against Kasai in a very long time.
That's fair.
Specifically, what happened was I let her get gold and forgot that you're not supposed to let her do that. And then he promptly played Raisin Army, and I was like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to have everything spiral out of control and lost terribly. At that point, I just dropped because it's like, well, at a top 8, but pretty proud of how I did in Battle Hardened. Less so the next day in AG Open.
Yeah, so let's talk about... So, I have a good question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that, like, for, like, non-new decks, do you think, like, maybe adding, like, Fates over Stags, I guess, for, like, other stack matchups might be relevant? Or do you still, like, think that it's, like, worth it to respect Snag as, like, for the new stacking, I guess?
I think it's better to bring in Snag in the board currently, if you have them, for the new stacking, because you of all of the matchups that you can stack currently, the one that you're more than likely going to face in a tournament is new.
Mhm.
Um, you're very unlikely to play into a Kasai currently. There are still Kasai diehards, including Colin Erickson, who's the person I played against.
Yeah.
Who are very good at the hero, but when I in the heavy hitters meta was stacking Kasai's, I was only on 2 Oases, 3 things for them.
Yeah.
The big issue I had this time was being rusty on specifically dealing with Kasai.
Yeah.
Letting him get gold, and then I normally board out I in a depot, and this time I didn't do that. I just kind of forgot my own sideboard notes. So if there's anyone who is trying to take a lesson from this, don't forget your sideboard notes and don't just assume that you're not going to see a matchup and just ignore it.
Right.
You'll end up being in a situation where you make misplays that you shouldn't be making just because you're like, oh, I'm unpracticed. So yeah, but if I was practiced, my stack was great. I had a really good stack going. I just like misplayed on a real macro level, right?
That makes sense. So let's talk about the next day.
Oh God,
didn't go as well.
No, I did not. I still had a good time.
Yeah.
Round 1, I played against Fuzzy Delt. He was on Zen. I had like the god turn going.
Right.
I had like 7 cards in hand. Like had like 3 tomes. Did the Rags trick. Had Wildfire in Arsenal.
Yeah.
I was being buffed by Cindering. I had Flare banished. I was just ready to see what Flare was going to buff, and the answer was there was a Kindle on top. Completely killed the turn. I was like, great. So I didn't send Wildfire. I just sent Flare.
Yeah.
And then next turn, I'm like, okay, we can deal with this. Still Stormstriders. I draw a hand of some blues, and I'm like, oh, and like the Kindle that was on top, I'm like, okay, what do we got?
Yeah.
Kano, Kindle. So I bricked on Kindle twice in one game, which, yeah, just rough stuff. Then I got paired into Enigma round 2. He was on Reality Refractor, which I didn't really notice until he said Spectral Shield for 8, and I was like, what is going on?
What is going
on? I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Couldn't find my Scours, ended up just having not enough cards in deck to close out the game. Put him really low, but he had Oasis on my Wildfire, which is just really bad manners if you're playing Enigma. Every other card in your deck has Ward 4. Like, do you really need Oasis? Anyway, not salty at all. So I dropped to preserve Elo, and then I did a WTR draft while I waited for you to be done so that we could go hang out. And then that's a cool segue to get to how you did over the weekend, because I hung out there for a long time.
Yeah.
Not mad about it. You were doing great, but
yeah. So I'll go into kind of my deck list. So for my Zen deck, I want to kind of just briefly go over kind of the inspiration, which was from Naib's deck list that Tegan played against. I think he's on like a more experimental list though.
It was wild.
Yeah, I think he was playing like Breed Anger.
He was playing Breed Anger. He played Territorial Domain.
Oh yeah.
Which he pitched against me, and I was like,
so this was
this is wild.
This is an old deck list of his, I think, from the Manila Calling that I liked when I was kind of recording the videos. I'm like, I really like the 60 that's kind of going on here. So I kind of took a lot of inspiration from that. And then my sideboard, I think I tuned it a little bit. Actually, let me see if I can like compare this with his deck. Let me quickly go. This might be useful to kind of see like what I changed, what I didn't change. Let me see if I can pull it up. So let me grab.
It's on the on the bottom.
So I grabbed this deck list. So Fabry has this neat feature here. So let's briefly kind of compare. So differences between my deck list and his deck list. So I went up on a Mauling Key just to kind of even out the combo count. I thought the Yellow Hunter was like a little bit suspect. Like I understand the kind of logic with the Winds of Eternity there, but I'm like, I don't know if you really need another yellow in the deck, so
You certainly didn't need another 100 wins.
yeah, I certainly didn't need another 100 wins. We'll get into that later.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, foreshadowing. Um, Cutting down on the 100 wins for like to go up on a monkey, I think was reasonable. Again, it was a little like clunky at times, just with kind of how the deck construction was. Like I think maybe there is some merit to going down to like 2 monkey, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. For most of my, I think main changes are not really in the 60, but kind of more in the sideboard. So
Why don't you like Flick Flock?
it's not that I don't like Flick Flock. It's that I like Sink Below better, just in terms of like controlling my hand against new. It's pretty good if you can like Sink Below like a important threat in your deck, like Art of War, and put it on the bottom so they can't like disrupt it or like do something with it. Like for instance, against like Weakest Link or something, you like Sink Below and like protect your Art of War, that kind of thing. What else? I would trim down on like Weakest Links just because I think at most against Zen, I want to be running like 4 kind of disruptive effects. So like 3 CNCs and 1 Weakest Link I think is fine. This is kind of an idea I took from some of the other deck lists as well. I think 1 or 2 of the deck lists were just on 1 Weakest Link with the idea to kind of sideboard in 1 Weakest Link. So you have like four kind of disruptive effects. What else were kind of the ideas? I think that was mainly it. So
Biting Breeze.
I think I trimmed on a Biting Breeze just to kind of keep the blue ratio roughly the same.
Yours on the left.
Or no, did I add a Biting Breeze? Yeah, I added a Biting Breeze. I think I added a Biting Breeze just to keep the 60 kind of intact because I wasn't sure like what else I would add. But that's kind of like the rough idea of kind of what I had. So basically, kind of trimming on some of these like poppers and then going up on like some Weakest Links and stuff like that. But roughly the same list. Again, I think it's like kind of more preference stuff, and then our equipment suite and like sideboard is like roughly the same. But I think mine's a little bit more teched for new. I think he's currently running like 1, 2, basically like 6 cards for new. I'm running like 7 cards for new, so it's pretty much the same. And I've also kind of come down a little bit on Weakest Link just because I think there is a version of new that's kind of running around that cares less about Transcend cards. So that's like the Balance of Justice version that's not running Mask of Recurring Nightmares. So that was kind of a hedge against that. But again, I didn't really see much new that weekend. So
when you go to the, yeah, it's like the actual like card thing. How many news did you see out of curiosity?
Yeah, so I ran into 1 new, I think, the whole weekend. Although I guess Azuri is kind of like bad new a little bit. It wasn't even that bad necessarily, but let me kind of like go over, I guess, some of the results and then kind of what my weekend was like. So round 1, I played against Azuri, and I think I was playing the game pretty well up until a certain point, but I think I made a critical kind of misplay on the pop-off turn. So what happened was I think the opponent had a 4-card hand, and I was sitting on like Art of War and like Traverse and basically my full equipment suite, right? So they come in with the Scale Peeler. I block 2 on the Scale Peeler, I think with Traverse, and then I have 5 armor remaining, right? Next, they follow up with a I forget what the card is called. What is that? What is that? Blue stealth card that they use against?
Backstab. Is that the one you're thinking of?
It's the one that gets a power and then can't be prevented or something.
Pick to pieces.
Pick to pieces. So they did Scale Peeler into Pick to Pieces, and they had 2 cards in hand. Notably, they also had Tunic up, and they also had a no block. What is it called? The Black Tech leggings or Black Tech
Whisperers.
Black Tech Whisperers, yes. So they had that information up. They have 1 floating, and then they have 2 cards in hand. So I'm like, okay, this is probably like a 6-cost attack or something like that, right? And for some reason, like I don't think I thought it through well enough, because I think what I did basically was say like, well, I have my Art of War in hand, and I think my arsenal is like a Red Descent or something, and I like a backup bonds. I had a bonds in hand as well. So my logic was like, if I lose Red Descendant here to like a CNC, it's not that bad. But what I didn't really consider was that they played was just a nick basically, which pumped the pick to pieces to 7, which then allowed them to give it go again and then play Codex, and then they threatened a CNC. Also, for additional like more context, I banished their last Leave No Witnesses from graveyard to with a Passover. So they did have a Leave No Witnesses graveyard. So I thought even if they could Codex, they can't play anything. But obviously they had Tunic Counter up so they can CNC. So I think I misblocked because I only blocked 5 with my equipment. I probably should have given another card just to prevent the black text into Codex turn. And I think I probably would have won the game. But I didn't do that, so I think I lost that game just because of that, and kind of like snowball loss of value after that turn.
It happens. Like
yeah. So I think I like made like a misplay, which again I'm not like upset about. I think it was like just something I didn't consider, and again I don't think I had enough reps into Missouri, so I think it was a little bit difficult. Then let's go on to kind of round 2. So I played against a Dawnblade Dory, and again, this game also didn't like go super well for me. Okay, so I got lucky, but I think I was basically losing until I got lucky. The Dory got a counter like turn 0 with like I think an Iron Song Determination or some other pump trick thing, and I didn't look like I was going to be able to like basically recover from that because I didn't have my turn 0 Transcend or anything else. So it was looking really bad for me, and then I drew like Stir the Pot plus Rising Sun Setting Moon, and then like an Art War in my hand. I'm like, okay, I can probably just like kill you through this, right? So what I did Rising Sun, Stir the Pot, and then I tucked a Chi at the bottom, and then I blocked with my Traverse Strides, and then just refound the Chi. And then I did like 35 damage on turn 2 or something crazy like that. So basically just like gross Zen things. So I kind of didn't deserve to win the game, but I got it anyways. Let's move to round 3. So Kano, this was like an interesting build of Kano. So they weren't running Kindle, which I think they're running a lot of like the 2 for 5 power attacks. So like they're running Swell Tidings, and they're running I think maybe even Voltic 2, just in place of Kindle, which is really actually kind of good against AB2 Spellvoid 2, just because you can get a lot more chip in.
That's why I went to Red Quickenings.
Yeah.
Just big damage is good.
So that was really interesting. I lost that game, I think, just because I bricked a lot. I didn't see very many Transcend cards. Opponent also played very well and was like blocking very effectively, and just like I couldn't get through his block basically. So yeah, he played very well. I think this is also one of the AG Pro members. I think his name is like Eric.
Dowerheim?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's
an AG member.
He frequents AG. He has his own YouTube channel too.
Yeah, I think he's an AG adjacent person. So
he's good.
Yeah, if anyone knows what his YouTube channel is, can
Sneep. I think it's like
Sleep.
Sneep.
Sneep. Okay.
I know it's like what up Sneeples.
Sneeples.
Yeah, that guy.
He was a really cool guy. I had a lot of fun that game, even though I lost. Like he's just a cool dude. Next, round 4, Teklo. I think this was just a rough game for them. I think it was like they were on like a more like controller version of the deck, which just kind of folds to Zen.
How bad is the matchup into Zen? Is it just
I think this I think it was 40-0 and it wasn't even the pilot's fault. So
sucks.
That feels bad.
Teklo is a hero that I really wish was like good because he's so cool.
He's really cool.
He's like awesome, but he just I don't know.
He's just in a bad spot right now. But hopefully it gets better with like time.
Speaking of bad spot, he played against 2 Phis.
Yeah, so at this point I was playing because Tegan had like a shot to be in the top 8. So I didn't do any side events or anything. So I was just playing for fun at this point. But I played against 2 Phis. I think one of which was a local and one of which was like a newer player. And the fight matchup's pretty bad. Like
local to San Diego area.
I think they were at the I don't know if they're local to San Diego. I think they were actually at the last Portland Battle Harden.
Oh, interesting.
I forget what their name is, but shout out to that person if they watch our YouTube channel. And again, I'm trying not to look up like the names on Gem because I don't want to like dox people or whatever.
I totally just dox. I mean, there are people who are out there. So like, oh.
I don't think these are like AG members, anyways. But 2 Phis, I think Phi matchup is like very, very good for Zen. Especially if you like high roll. I don't think I even high rolled necessarily super hard. I just kind of like out damage them. So unfortunate there. Fi also just has a lot of two blocks and kind of faults to disruption pretty bad. So not a great matchup for Fi. But yeah, that's how I ended my battle hardened. I only played I think the 6th round, so I dropped after Tegan dropped. So we dropped at the same time. Went and grabbed dinner.
Oh, it was so good.
Dinner was really good. But anyways, that was the battle hardened. So I went 4-2, but like it wasn't like a real 4-2. It was like I lost 1-2 and then just decided to play the rest out. But AG Open, I did a lot better. So
You did really good.
I did pretty good. I also got like pretty lucky, I think, in terms of some of like the things that happened in the games. So in round one, I played against a KO, and the KO was like a very good player, and like I actually thought I was losing that game just because they had late transcend and like didn't see Art War for a while. But they bricked on a pulping, like they discarded a reckless swing to a pulping, which is very unfortunate. But I think they were running like a lot of other stuff like cast bones and like other like bricks, so maybe it's more likely to happen in that case. But I think it's pretty unlucky because I think they had to draw it off the top and then like discard it as well. So it's like there's like a layer of chance on top of the 1 and 3 like that you draw the non-6, right? So super unlucky pulping. I blocked 6 on it, took 2, and this was on a Blood Rush turn, so it basically just killed their entire Blood Rush turn.
Nice.
They also had like a follow-up Blood Rush, but I think that like actually won me the game just because of how much kind of tempo they lost off of that. And then I just like did the normal Zen thing. I don't think it was anything special. Round 2, I played into Brody's Spurlock on Zen. Brody has currently a 0 or a 1-0, or he had before this game a 1-0 track record in me because I played him in the final round of Swiss at the CTAC PQ Plus, where he got me there. And then I won the die roll for this game. I went second, and Brody hit me with the nastiest like turn one, like the dream turn one basically, which is like it has a blue, transcends, and then parks an Art of War in Arsenal. And I'm like, shit. Okay. So, well, I didn't know he did.
Hate to see that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I didn't know he had an Art of War in Arsenal. And I had 2 Transcend cards. So I was actually like, we were both kind of the same on Transcend. But my mistake, so I don't even know if this was a mistake, but basically my hand was drop, I think Path Well Traveled. Path A. And then it was, I had 2 block cards. So he went first. I block like 6 or something because I have 2 Transcend cards. I double Transcend. And then I draw up 2 more cards. And the 2 cards that I draw up are Mauling Key, and then a Spinning Wheel Kick. So, given this hand, there's like kind of like a micro problem with this hand. So, on turn 1, I pretty much always want to try to keep an Arsenal, right? So I'm trying to Arsenal. These are both Transcended. So these are both Chi, actually, by the way. I transcended on his turn just to like make it easier to like flip the Chi on my turn. So my hand was Chi, Mauling Key, and then Spinning Wheel. So I wanted to try to Arsenal Spinning Wheel Kick. And I had the Mauling Key in my hand. But the problem is that like it's all there's also like a consideration to like making a Zen state here. So I think what I did was I like played Spinning Wheel Kick, pitching a Chi, and then did Kakara, pitch Chi, and then did like what was it? Like Tiger Swipe, Tiger. So like pretty okay damage turn. And my thought process was that like, okay, Brody, it probably doesn't have Art War like right away. I could maybe have like a setup turn or two to like, you know, just put the Chi in the deck. Like I don't have to make a Zen state on turn 0 because I don't know if he's actually going to want to try to go off through the Zen state, right? Because I think turn 0 Zen state against Zen, I don't know if it's always correct. Like it seems like sometimes, especially if you're like attacking into them, like it gets a lot worse. But anyways, I think I started with like Spinning Wheel Kick. He said no blocks on the Spinning Wheel Kick. He took the 4 damage. And then I'm like, okay, well, he's not popping Traverse Strides. So maybe I'm fine to just go ahead and like give up the second Chi. So I have 2 floating. I get like a Tiger from my deck, and I attack with the Kakara. Then he starts blocking with Traverse Strides, and I'm like, shit. I think I might just die here. And I end up like arsenling them all and keep. So I think there was maybe a consideration to like spinning wheel kick Kakara and then just hold back the other chi in hand. Because maybe like I sandbag the chi just to determine whether or not I make a Zen state or not. Very like complicated kind of state there. I don't know what happens if I also like sandbag the chi. Like, does he have to go off through that? I'm not 100% sure. So, anyways, I think I maybe kind of misplayed this turn. I think it may have been right to like just sandbag the chi and then Arsenal like mauling or spinning, like one of the two.
It's interesting to me because I know when you were like showing me Zen,
Yeah,
you said like, okay, like block on like the when you're pretty sure that they're gonna commit to something. This is gonna
yeah.
be the last thing. That's when you commit to it, and you don't just block super early. With traverse strides when you want to
Well, I
go.
don't think he blocked early too. I think he blocked on like maybe it was like Tiger Swipe even. It was either like spinning or like Tiger Swipe or something. Or
Uh,
it might have even been the Kakara. Like I think he pretty much knew what my hand was at that point.
yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know if I played that turn right, and then he basically like had a free Art of War through no Zen state, which is pretty bad. So I think his Zen state probably would have gotten like 10 or 15 value there, but again, it felt like it was super early, and like I was banking on him basically not having the turn one Art of War transcend basically thing. So that was unfortunate. I lost the game. Not much to talk about there. I also think I maybe could have won if I did that, because I eventually drew an Art of War. It just was kind of too late to matter. But I think I probably did actually misplay this game. I think it might have been right to sandbag the chi, which I think is like hard to recognize sometimes. So, anyways, we'll go on to kind of some of the other games that are a little bit more kind of one-sided to talk about. So, I think there was like a prismatic leyline new that I played against in round three. Not to say that that's like bad or anything, but it was effectively just like a nimblism for blues, which is not like amazing. Um, I don't know. I've not been crazy about prismatic leyline.
Not to say it's bad, but I don't think you should run it. It's not very good.
I don't think it's very good. It was pretty one sided. I kind of just saw the stuff early and was able to kind of get my game plan going. Round four was a rematch from the Battle Hardened, so I played against the same Kano from yesterday. And now that I knew his kind of game plan, uh, I felt a little bit more confident just because I was able to kind of just set up a really nasty turn. I also got super lucky this game. I think I hit a Bonds off the top with an Ancestral Harmony. And I also had like a Transcend card or a Descendant in hand. So that Harmony basically netted me like 8 damage or something stupid like that. I think it was maybe like 10 damage. Yeah, but anyways, got pretty lucky, but also kind of had like a better game plan. So I think probably I think I did well that game. Victor, my round five Victor opponent got extremely unlucky. They did have like some good like weakest link pummel thing, kind of early in the game, but they basically didn't see a block or a clash card until like basically the game was over, which is really interesting. Like they didn't see a test of strength or they didn't see a trounce.
I remember walking by and like as the
Yeah.
game was ending, and he flipped up where the Tucker was attacking and it was the test of strength, and he was
Yeah.
like, "There it is."
Yeah.
Like I could tell he was upset.
Yeah, so Victor's normally a lot harder for me, but I just set up a double anthem turn, so I had like Harmony plus Art War and then Descendant Bonds, blah blah blah. So I basically had the optimal turn, and he didn't see like any of his good cards, so it felt like very lucky for me. So I think two of these games I got pretty maybe even three of these games I got like pretty good end of variance. And then round six was a really strange game. I kind of almost don't know how to feel about this game because it was probably the like I basically like 40-0 to Prism, so I ended the game at like 40 life, which is rare for me against Prism, and I don't know exactly like what was happening. They just kind of kept playing out auras. This was also like a member of I think I don't know which person on the AGA team, but this was like an AGA team member. I am running time skippers in my build, so it gets a little bit harder. But basically, what they did was they basically tried to play out like multiple auras a turn, and then I just kept killing auras, or I kept like dealing damage to them, and then killing an aura at the end of my turn. So they were never able to like snowball auras. They tried to play like Genesis plus Parable, and then I popped time skippers to kind of deal with that. So they were basically just trying to spam auras and not send heralds, which I don't know if that's like a new strat that people are employing, but
Don't look at me. I just started
yeah.
learning her. I have
Yeah.
no idea how to play for.
But anyways, I don't think that went particularly well for them, or maybe they got unlucky or something. I'm not entirely sure what
I
the
mean,
deal
based
was.
on life total, it did not go well. So
Yeah, based on life total, it didn't go well. But yeah, just a very, very bizarre game. Like, I don't. It was also like I think they were 4-2 and I was 5-1, so I don't know if they were like just didn't want to play the game or something. Like, I don't know, but it was a very strange game, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the game. But anyways, I went 5-1, so I guess did pretty well that day. And then I get into the top 8 and I lose to MAXX on stream, which is rough.
you've probably seen this if you
Yeah.
like. I don't know. We're following. It was really rough. I felt bad watching.
Yeah, so let me kind of like I forget exactly what my hand was, but turn 1, so MAXX
100 wins. Is what
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
So turn 1 basically, right? I have I think 1 chi in hand, 2 chi in hand. No, I think so. I have 1 chi in hand. I have an E strike, and I have like a Winds of Eternity, 100 wins, right? So I block the MAXX's like jump start. They make like it's also really bad to let MAXX go first in general. Generally, like giving them the free hyperdriver is really bad. What I like to do into MAXX is go first and just try to find Transcend as early as possible. Try to find Art of War as soon as possible. That kind of thing. MAXX goes first. They set up a hyperdriver pass, so I only get 2 cards filtering basically, and they get like a full filter. They also see 2 Nitro Mechanoids on turn 1, so they pitch 1 and they also have 1 in Arsenal. So I'm like, okay, I see you're pitching a Nitro Mechanoid, so I'm like, my days are probably like, I probably have like 5 turns to kill you basically, right? And then my next hand, I draw. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was another red 100 wins, and then something else. It was like maybe a blue 100 wins or like Winds of Eternity or something. I can't remember. But not a super great hand. So basically, what I do is I like play blue 100 wins, transcend, play another 100 wins, get a Maulin Key, that kind of thing. So I just send a bit of chip and then Arsenal blue 100 wins in case I need to transcend again. And then the next hand, I think I drew like just kind of a bunch of combo cards that didn't really do very much. So I think it was like Maulin Key, Winds of Eternity. I think like another blue 100 wins and then something else. Generally not super ideal. And no Anthem, I think, at that point either. So
You didn't see any Anthem effects. Actually.
yeah, I don't think I saw a single Anthem effect that game, which is unfortunate. So I think on the next turn, my opponent like makes another hyperdriver. I think they do Supercell too. Was it?
Yep, they
Yeah.
played Supercell.
So
They
Supercell
basically were gifted like
Yeah.
the perfect MAXX hands like 3 or 4
Yeah, so they
turns
basically
in a row.
got the turn 3 Nitro Mechanoid out, I think.
Yeah, it was really stupid. And then
Yeah.
I think immediately after that they drew High Octane and had like 6 action points.
Yeah.
And they had a max V on that turn as well. And you had no blocks in hand and you played I think you played it pretty perfectly.
Yeah, I think I played it about as well like as I could have. Again, I just didn't see Art of War, I didn't see Ancestral Harmony, which is like pretty rough.
You had one slight thing that you told me you could have done
Yeah,
differently.
so I think I drew up Bonds at one point, and again, I rarely think about this because I kind of try to treat Bonds as more of like a power card, but technically Bonds does thin your deck by 1, which is maybe sometimes relevant if you're trying to draw Art of War. So maybe what I could have done is instead of like saving the Bonds for the pop-off turn, I could have like gotten Descendant, played the Bonds, like thin the deck by net 1 basically, because Bonds would tutor a card and that would thin the deck.
The percentages that you're getting there are so small though that
Yeah,
it's
it's so small that like it's
like if
also
it happens, it's like it might just be because of random normal variance as opposed to Bonds making the deck smaller.
Yeah. Like you can go back and watch the video. I forget exactly what happened, but I could have done that I think at one point, but I think I would have still been dead to just like the high octane Nitro Mechanoid thing. I also drew like a 3 chi hand at one point, which was also
that
like
was really bad.
yeah, it was also really bad. Just like basically nothing went right for me that game, which again, it happens. It's a card game. Like the opponent played very well and they just like did the thing super early. So I don't even feel like that bad about the game. I think I played it about as well as I could have. But again, Max can get you out of nowhere, especially if they like go first and like see all their kind of setup stuff.
You truly have like the perfect max.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the Max V also on the high octane turn was like nuts.
yeah. He just
Uh,
presented your Zen state got a lot of value though, so
yeah,
that's
I
good.
made a Zen state there. I think if you like go back and watch it, I made a Zen state because I knew the game was going to last like one more turn at most. Because I felt like I was basically dying, and if I have a 3 chi hand, I might as well like use the chi to like make a Zen state to try to protect me from it. But again, didn't end up mattering because they kind of just had the nut. But again, that kind of is what happens. Again, it is very very possible to lose to a max. I also played what was it? My Spellfray gloves into that.
Hmm.
With the logic being that you kind of play around like T-bone and like magnetic shockwave effects. I asked my opponent after the game whether or not that was good, and I think he said it was good. But again, I'm not 100% sure. Like, it's hard to evaluate how good the Spellfray gloves was because I think he had like the opportunity to T-bone me like 3 or 4 times.
Shout out to the people in the chat who were
Yeah,
wondering why she was playing Spellfray gloves into Max, and I think there was like one person who's like, "Well, Max doesn't do Arcane," which is
yeah,
like, uh, it's like she didn't get top 8
yeah.
without knowing how that works.
So the logic, so for those of you who don't know, the logic with Spellfray gloves is that if you'll notice, the funny thing about Spellfray gloves is that if you look at this, like it doesn't have blade break. So when the commentary closes, it's this defend and destroy. So Shuko has blade break. So the reason that Shuko is like bad in T-Bone is that just like they can break it for free, right? Um, with Spellfray gloves, the idea is that you get a little bit more control over your equipment because you can block 0, and this does not have blade break, right? So they need to have at least 2 T-bones basically to start chipping at your real armor, which is your like traverse, Kasaya, and strides. And then another question I get from people is like, why not run like tide flippers over strides? And I just very highly value the 7 card hand. Like I've played against a lot of just like mechanologists that run a ton of T-bone, and I think it is slightly better in my opinion to run just try to set up for the 7 card hand as opposed to like going for like the long game value of Shuko because again the games against mechanologists don't last very long generally.
Yeah.
Uh,
We do have like two pretty dedicated Dash IO players in the area, so
yeah,
like this comes from a place of like you have a lot of practice into that
yeah.
matchup.
One of the
Most
Dash
people
IO
don't.
players is not on like T-bone. The other one is on like Rainbow T-bone though. So
It's
um,
fairly
yeah. So basically, the idea is like you have a spell for gloves, so you have better control over your traverse, strides, and Kasaya can also sometimes be relevant. And it forces them to have like 2 T-bones as opposed to just one T-bone that will mess you up. But that's kind of the general idea. And then it did slightly matter because I think they saw like up to 3 T-bones, so there's possibility they could have actually like broken my strides when I didn't want them to, or like something like that. So that was kind of the idea, but again, I don't think it mattered that much just because of like not seeing our orb or any other anthem, which can happen. I think there might have been some micro optimizations there, but like not enough to actually like win me the game. So that's kind of how I feel about the game. Again, our opponent played like very well. I think he was one of the AG members, so very cool guy, and very cool that he's wearing Max. I was rooting for him to beat Brody, but unfortunately Brody won the whole thing like he does. So.
Ooh.
Boo. But anyways, check out this sick ELO chain. So 19th and 90 day, and then 245 overall in the country. So pretty stoked
If
about that.
only I dropped immediately round one.
I think I gained like 20 ELO from the 2 events. Guess maybe goes to show why you like play out the later rounds of the battle round.
Alternatively, you could keep losing. So who
Yeah,
knows?
true. But anyways, that was kind of my. I might have rambled a little bit too long there, but that was kind of my results from the Battle and the AG Open. If you have any like specific questions about the list or like any like other matchups, let me know and I can try to answer them in the comments. But I think we're gonna probably wrap it up there for today, and then yeah, any other kind of comments before we wrap up?
Yeah. I don't know. I had a lot of fun. I think the AG team members and production crew did a wonderful job on the tournament.
Yeah,
The venue at San Diego Convention Center was really nice. San Diego is a really cool city. If you do have to stay in the convention center, maybe potentially don't look in the gas lamp or the
Yeah.
gas lamp district.
Yeah, we were in I think we were right above a nightclub for our hotel.
We weren't above a nightclub. We were right next to a
Oh yeah,
nightclub. It was extremely loud.
it's pretty loud.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really fun weekend. I had a great time. People I played against were very nice as usual. A little sad to see this version of Kano go, but you know, like excited to play some new stuff. That might be a fun thing. Just talk about Rosetta cards at some point.
We
Maybe.
can do that at some point as like another video.
Yeah, but yeah, just want to say thanks to people who watched this.
Yeah, I think we met like one or two people who were flush and bad enjoyers.
Yeah, if you see us at events in the future, because we're definitely gonna do more events coming up.
Yeah. Feel free to say hi and
Feel
stuff.
free to say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much
Okay.
that.
Well, thank you all for watching, and then hope you all enjoy, and we will see you all next time for some more other stuff. We have a lot of things planned in the future. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.